Hey guys, Sam Freeman here. I just wanted to talk about some comments that Grant Kirkhope made the other day about how he thinks there won't be another Banjo game or another Banjo sequel or whatever he said. Let's see, what did he actually say? He just said, I don't think there'll ever be another Banjo. Um, Now, I don't know if that's entirely true. I think that hopefully if Microsoft is listening, and I would definitely hope so, especially to the way Banjo has been received in Smash so far. And maybe once they see the sales of Banjo, his DLC or things like that, that might also sway their opinions, even though I think most people would probably have the Fighter Pass by this point, so that might be a little hard to figure out. But of all the characters, of all the DLC characters that have been revealed so far, Banjo is obviously the most hyped up, anticipated one there is. Even compared to the Dragon Quest hero, which is kind of interesting. But everyone loves Banjo. Everyone wants Banjo. Everyone was super happy to see Banjo. I don't think there's one person that really had a problem with Banjo being in. If they did, it might have been like whatever, it might have been they didn't really care for him. But the fact that what it means for Banjo to be in Smash after all of this, it's kind of hard to be mad at that. It's something to celebrate, and it's bridging all of these gaming companies together, and it's making it truly feels like now it really is Smash Brothers really is a celebration of gaming as a whole, all these characters coming together, especially now that Microsoft is playing along, and Banjo-Kazooie, I believe, is the first real. Even that bird's excited. Listen to him out there. The first big. All right, you can shut up now. The first. I want to say Western IP, Western character specifically, because people have said Diddy Kong and what do you call it? King K. Rool, who of course were made by Rare, but were developed for Donkey Kong, which is a Japanese IP. So I don't know if I count them, but Banjo-Kazooie is the first, I believe, truly Western IP to be represented in Smash fully, which is incredible. But besides that, Microsoft has not been doing their part with keeping Banjo relevant or alive in any way. Now, I don't know if that's them telling Rare what to do, or if Rare just does not want to make anything Banjo related since nuts and bolts. I believe Microsoft can force their hand to make something Banjo related, but at this point, Rare is so different and Rare is so far gone, and they're making their own things, which I believe Sea of Thieves is, doing pretty well for them, going to be doing pretty well. I'm not sure, but I've heard good things about it. So all their attention's focused on that. Apparently it's a huge game. So I don't know if they're going to totally shift gears over into making either a remake of the first two games or a remastering of the first two games or a sequel. Now I know Crash and Spyro have had their remakes happen very successfully. A lot of sales, a lot of recognition, bringing the IPs back. I actually have Spyro Reignited, and I haven't played it yet. I should probably do that today, actually, now that I think about it. But I'm so bad for for not playing that game and picking it up yet. But Banjo could get a similar treatment. Now, the thing that makes me skeptical about that happening, though, is the fact that Rare Replay is very... More noises in the background, I'm sorry for that. Rare Replay is so easily accessible, so easily... What am I trying to say? Rare Replay is so easy to get now. It's quite inexpensive. You can buy it on Xbox One and play Banjo 1 and 2. Now, they're the Xbox Live versions of the games, which are not remastered, but they definitely look better than the N64 versions. Certain fixes to them, like my favorite thing about them is that when you leave a level, you don't the notes don't disappear, which thank God. But at least with with that, I see Microsoft being less likely to make remakes on that level because you can play the original two games on the Xbox One quite inexpensively, along with a ton of other games. And I think they might say, well, who's going to buy a $40 remaster of the first two Banjo games when you can play the first two Banjo games on a game we're selling for like $20 along with like 30 other games, including Conker's Bad Fur Day, which you might as well just play it at that point. You might as well just buy Rare Replay if you're going to buy the other two games. But unless they really remade them completely from the ground up, and they weren't even the same games at that point, which I wouldn't mind. You could remake them, remaster them, not remaster, but remake them to be much bigger experiences, much more in-depth experiences, things like that. That might be interesting. I don't think they'll actually go that way with a remake, though. They could go a sequel, or at least, at the very least, a reboot. They could very well reboot Banjo, and maybe that would be the best way to go, where instead of a remake of the entire first game, you reboot the entire franchise faithfully, but you bring it back to the whole, Gruntilda's Lair, Spiral Mountain, all the same happy whatever, but you completely reboot it as not a new franchise, but you don't make a sequel, but you take it and you go in a new direction. You could do that and make it entirely and totally just make the franchise over, continue the franchise from there. Don't have to worry about the baggage of the past games, and everyone will still be happy in some capacity, especially if it's made faithfully, and you bring on a lot of the old Rare guys as creative consultants, bring back Grant Kirkhope to compose, things like that. Or you could get Playtonic to make another Banjo game in the same series. Now, apologies, my nose is itchy. I don't know if Playtonic would be down for that, though, because they're already doing Yooka-Laylee. I think they would be more than happy and flattered to entertain the idea of doing another Banjo game. However, if they're really, really bent on Yooka-Laylee right now, and it's doing very well for them, I don't know if they're going to immediately jump over to Banjo because of how similar it is in style and form and things like that. Now, if Microsoft brings them on exclusively to make Banjo games again, or integrates them into Rare somehow, or some weird business buyout I don't even know what you would call it. I don't even know how it would happen, but basically get the old guys to make Banjo for Microsoft again. If that happens, great. And I think that would be another really good way to go. I don't know if that's how it's going to go. I think Playtonic is a little bit more, would be a little bit more skeptical at this point, considering how young of a company they are, and considering how, not ambitious necessarily, but how they've done so far as a company. I think they'd probably want to build on that without being bought out. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I know that maybe they're still a little pissed off about how Microsoft handled Rare in the past, and they're skeptical about coming back. I think they would want to have more creative options, if I was them, to make more games like Conker, or even continue Yooka-Laylee, or even maybe bring back some other ideas they had that weren't able to come to fruition before, maybe another Jet Force Gemini game, things like that. But they would, of course, have to go back and retain those IPs, and as well as retaining those IPs or reobtaining those IPs, they would have to know that they would have they would have to probably be guaranteed that they would be able to do more with those IPs and not just be sitting on them for so long waiting for Microsoft to give the green light. But I think whichever way it goes, there will be another Banjo game at some point, at the very least. I don't know how Microsoft's going to go about it, but they have a couple options, and I think that Playtonic is definitely in the mix. Microsoft themselves is definitely in the mix, but I'm not sure exactly who or how they'll who they'll go to go through with it, or how they'll go through with it, whether it's a sequel or a reboot. But I'm definitely hopeful. I think Banjo being in Smash is going to help some things. I remember, when Mega Man got put into Smash, we eventually got Mega Man 11. People loved it. After Mega Man just been treated like garbage for so long. So I think, especially when a character gets into Smash and companies see the reaction, I think that makes them more likely to do something with the IP, because of how big Smash is and how much exposure it gives these characters. So I'm hopeful. Maybe Grant knows something that I don't know, but right now I think that it's a little too early to tell. I think maybe in the next couple years we'll hear something, but I'm hopeful. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that, guys. Later.